Welcome to StockMarketFunding.com. Here's one of our stocks that we like. And some of the technicals that we'd like to pull out here for you is to understand that what you see here on Google is what these weekly sell signals. So that's very bearish trend on Google. Why do we like it? Because the percent DS is getting down to 19.45. It's struggling with the 200-week moving average. And during its upcoming earnings season on July 15th, we're going to be making some money on this one. And once again, the leader has crossed over. And I showed all four indexes to you. And basically, you can see here when sell signals happen that Google is struggling to hold this support level. Right here. These are the bottoms. And that's right around 467 and some change. On Friday, we hit 470.56 on the low. So what we are going to be doing is back to the Google chart here is that the 10-week has crossed over the 50. We're below the rising 50-week. The 20 is about to cross over. Everything is extremely bearish on the chart. However, what we're going to be doing is that we feel that Google's got an upside coming on its earnings, and it's one of the few stocks that were being bought at these levels. You had $81 million positive money flow going in there, and take a look at Apple. $365 million came out of the stock. $81 million went into purchasing Google at these levels. Now, technically, it's about as bad as you're going to get. You've got a weekly sell signal at 19.49%. Over here, when Google was making its highs, we got to 96%. And we've come way down very hard all the way. Now, the opposite end of the move is everyone's bearish on it. They probably don't want to own it, and that's the time we're going to own it. And there are different, as bearish as the chart is that we're going to hit a saturated point of being extremely oversold. And what we're going to be doing is that on July 15th, during the options expiration, is that we're going to be trading this. When we get down to these key levels and a little bit lower, I will be happy to go show you the last time that we were at these key levels on that percent DS. Now, Google ran ahead of the market. It ran ahead of all of these indexes that I did for you this morning. I did the S&P, I did the comp, and I did the Dow. And Google ran into its weekly sell signal ahead of here. However, the indexes have a tendency of following the leader right here. And when you look at the weekly chart, it doesn't look good at all. And that's when we like to buy, is when people don't want to be in the stock. And so I'm going to go back over here and show you at the bottoms that last time that we were buying it over here, we were at 14% a couple of weeks. But once we hit that 20%, we never ever looked back on this technical percent DS reading that we use for oversold. And all we ever did was continue to go higher from those levels. And we did. And we just kept going higher and higher and higher. Well, what happens on certain equities going in to meet the current economic environment is that we start getting everything priced in. So basically, why would Google outperform a lot of other stocks is because, number one, let's go through it. 19.49%. We're oversold. It's struggling with the 200-week moving average. It's got a technical close below it. All of these weekly moving averages that are declining, the top of that ridge right there at 500 will be resistance. We are going to be watching Google. If it drops down and tests that 100-week moving average, that's roughly about $20 below where it is now. on or before earnings. That's one area. The other area is that because it's getting so nicely oversold for people like SMF, we would look at buying it if it regained that. It did regain the 200 week right here, but it fell back through it. So we're going to be watching this area along with that oversold percent DS. We're going to look at how the support levels across these last lows over here will hold. And we have a couple of weeks before those earnings will come out in the July quarter. And what will happen is that people that continue to be extremely bearish or trying to short Google are going to get caught. Because when no one wants to own it down here, and that reflects it, that this chart is very bearish. Don't get me wrong. 10 week is declining, crossed over the 50 week, stock is below the 200, below the 20 week and the 50 week, and the wideness between the declining 10 week is not good either. However, we're experts at knowing that you will hit a point that will reflect the pricing mechanism for a pop in Google. So there's $20 down here. We're going to be watching this whole area right in here. And Google still comes up off the bottom each day and then goes up. So the 200 week, the chart is extremely bearish. It's got sell signals. It's got everything all over it. One thing we're going to be monitoring is where we end up down here on this oversold area. And that's when stocks get so oversold that any kind of news that they're going to say would be priced into the equity. This is the Google trade that we're going to be monitoring. Technically, it's about as sick as you can get. However, we're going to get to a point where we're so oversold that that's where we like to buy.